Hi everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I've read recently, so let's get started. The first book I'm going to be talking about is The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deja Filia. This is a short story collection that mostly centers on themes of queerness, womanhood, and faith. In it, we follow mostly stories of women who live unconventional lives and kind of how that interacts and connects to their faith. I rated this 3.5 stars. There were parts of it that I really enjoyed, but there were other parts of it that I was not the biggest fan of. The main issue I had with this collection is more of a personal one. Fair warning, if you hear munching sounds in the background, it's my cats deciding that now is the moment to eat. Okay, but going back to the book. One of the primary reasons I wasn't super into it was because one of the main topics was infidelity. A lot of the characters were unfaithful or were the other woman in a relationship, and I'm not really into that theme. But it was just a topic that's not really my vibe, so that's kind of why I felt a disconnect with the connection a little bit. On the other hand, I enjoyed it because the writing style was great. The author used a lot of very creative and interesting ways to tell stories, so I enjoyed that element of it. The more technical aspect of it was really well done, and I could appreciate that. So that's kind of everything I have to say about this collection. I don't have a lot of deep thoughts because, as I've mentioned before, if I talk about a short story collection going into each story, I would never shut up, and I prefer to keep it short and sweet. So I would ultimately recommend you pick up this collection because I do see how it could be enjoyable and an interesting read, but it just didn't fully work for me because of some of the themes of it. And of course, now my cat wants to take a shit. The next book I'm going to be talking about is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. In this book, we follow our main character, Chloe Brown, who after a near-death experience decides that she needs to get a life. So she makes a list, a kind of bucket list of things she would like to do in order to make sure that she's taking full advantage of her life. The main reason why she didn't have a life was because of her disabilities, but she decides that she needs to step up her game and try to work around and work with her disabilities in order to still have a life. So this is the romance that develops between Chloe Brown and Red, who's a kind of landlord of the building that she lives in. He's not really the landlord, but whatever. He spends a lot of time in the building doing administrative stuff. So I rated this book 5 stars. I had a blast listening to the audiobook of this book. It was fucking amazing. I would literally give my life for Red and Chloe. I would give my life for both of them. Both of them are precious. Both of them deserve all of my love. Both of them deserve better friends and better people. And honestly, I just adore them with the entirety of my being and of my soul. And what I loved about this book, even more than just the characters in and of themselves, because I loved Red and Chloe independently as people, I adored them. But apart from just that, I really enjoyed that their relationship had a lot of communication. It's not that the two of them didn't have arguments, it's that they actually found the time and managed to pretty quickly talk through the issues they were having. I'm like, wow, it can be done? 2 adults can function and communicate with one another when they're feeling like insecure or troubled over something? Wow. Impressive. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about this book unless you want me to sit here and wax poetic about exactly why I love Red and exactly why I love Chloe. Just know that I had a really good time listening to this book, and I was glued to the audiobook because of how beautiful and amazing their relationship was. Just, what else do I need to say? Just pick it up, okay? Just pick it up. You will enjoy it, and if you don't enjoy it, then I don't know what's wrong with you. The next book I'm going to be talking about is My Daily Actions or the Meteorites by S. Brooke Kaufman. This is a poetry collection that mostly centers on themes of gender identity and gender exploration. I rated this poetry collection 3.5 stars. Mostly, I enjoyed it. I thought the writing style was really beautiful and intimate. I don't know, there was something about the language used here that felt like the author was whispering in my ear. I don't know, it was weird. But at the same time, the kind of issue I had with it was that it was written in a very stream of consciousness way, and that made it difficult for me to kind of get meaning out of the poems. I don't always have to get everything that a poem is trying to say, but sometimes it just felt like I was getting close to nothing from it except from the experience or the vibe of intimacy. I think from the collection, one of the standout things for me was a line. I don't have the specific line in front of me, but the author mentions that it's kind of infantilizing to go through that process of finding and figuring out your gender identity when you're older. Because there's this idea that when you're queer, you figure it out at a young age and you have everything sorted by the time that you're an adult, but that's not always the timeline that everyone follows. So I enjoyed exploring that concept of how it sometimes feels like you're going backwards when you're figuring out who you are, how you fit in your body, how you feel about your body, how you want to express yourself, how you feel about who you are. So that was one of my favorite things about this collection. Overall though, because of the writing style of this collection, I don't see myself thinking about it too much for much longer. I don't find it super memorable, but I don't at all regret picking it up and checking it out. I thought it was an interesting experience. The last book I'm going to be talking about is Sing on Buried Sing by Jessamine Ward. I'm going to read the summary of this one because I have no idea how to summarize it, okay? I'm sorry. Jojo and his toddler sister Kayla live with their grandparents, Mam and Pop, and the occasional presence of their drug-addicted mother, Leonie, on a farm on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Leonie is simultaneously tormented and comforted by visions of her dead brother, which only come to her when she's high. Mam is dying of cancer, and quiet, steady Pop tries to run the household and teach Jojo how to be a man. When the white father of Leonie's children is released from prison, she packs her kids and a friend into her car and sets out across the state for Parchment Farm, the Mississippi State Penitentiary, on a journey rife with dangers and promise. This is another book that I rated 3.5 stars. We see here a theme kind of in this video. A lot of books where I could see the merit, but at the same time I wasn't into them. In this case, I think the primary thing is that I just don't enjoy Southern travel narratives. I don't think I enjoyed any element of it. I found it I don't know. It was uninteresting to me, mostly just boring. I just struggled to connect with it. Even though I liked the characters and I thought the characters were interesting, I just struggled in general to give a shit about what was happening in the story. I don't know. And again, there is no inherent flaw in the writing. Like, if you told me to analyze the writing and the structure of this book, there is nothing I can point to you to say, this is where the problem is. This is why I could not connect to the story or why I struggled to be invested in what was happening to these characters. No, there is no such thing. It does not exist. I just did not vibe with it. Honestly, it just boils down to that. I listened to this as an audiobook and I just didn't vibe with it. And mostly, genuinely, I think it's the Southern vibe of it. In concept, I enjoy the idea of Southern aesthetics, both Gothic and non-Gothic. I think in theory, it's very interesting. But I've seen a pattern of picking up books that are set in the South and just struggling to get through them. I don't know what it is about them, but it just doesn't do it for me. But precisely because of that, I would still encourage you to pick up this book if the summary sounds interesting to you. I've heard a lot of praise for this novel. It is a very well-renowned and very respected novel, so I am the anomaly here. I am not the rule. So I would still encourage you to try it out for yourself to see if the story does connect with you or if you find it interesting or whatever. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or if they're in your TBR. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, I will leave the links to that down below in the description. But for now, see you next time.